Stop everything you're doing. You know that clean, organized science you learned in school? Forget it. From human brains turned to glass by volcanoes, to plastics made from biological fluids you'd rather not know about, textbooks lied to you by omission. I'm your host, and today on List 15, we're going to unearth 15 realities so disturbing and bizarre that textbook publishers simply didn't have the courage to print them. Are you ready for what comes next? 15. The glass brain of Vesuvius in 79 AD. Mount Vesuvius not only erupted, it performed a demonstration of thermal physics that science took almost a millennia to understand. While in Pompeii people were suffocated by ash, in Herculaneum the fate was far more bizarre and instantaneous. In 2020, an investigation led by forensic anthropologists in Italy revealed something unprecedented inside the skull of a victim: fragments of a black, shiny, glassy material. The recently published proteomic analysis confirmed the impossible. It was not obsidian or an external mineral, it was vitrified human brain tissue. For this to happen, the brain needs to be subjected to a heat wave of about 520 degrees Celsius in a fraction of a second, followed by immediate cooling. It is a heat-freezing process where the tissues do not have time to burn. They simply change their physical state. What remains is a biological time capsule, preserving neurons and axons in a glass structure. Imagine the scale of terror and physical force required to transform a man's consciousness into a solid black jewel in the blink of an eye. It's the kind of forensic detail that history books avoid mentioning so as not to traumatize students. But here at List 15, it's where the investigation begins. 14. The intersex whale, EA10b. The ocean is the planet's largest genetic laboratory, and sometimes it produces anomalies that defy our binary understanding of biology. For decades, we've kept biopsy samples of southern right whales collected by research animals. But it wasn't until 2025 that scientists at St. Mary's University in Canada found the EA10b sample. On paper, she was a perfect female, with 2 X chromosomes, but hidden deep within her genetic code was the SRY-GND master switch that creates the male sex organ. We're talking about the first documented intersex whale in the history of marine biology. She possessed an XXY pattern, an extremely rare condition in wild mammals. What makes this fact worthy of our list is the scale. How does a 40-ton creature develop such a complex biological identity in the depths of the sea without ever being detected? This discovery proves that our taxonomic classification is only a suggestion for nature. EA10b lived a full life, migrating and hunting, while carrying a genetic secret that human science only managed to decipher 30 years later. It is a reminder that what we call normal is only the surface of a sea of genetic exceptions. 13. The 9 days of global tremors. In September 2023, seismographs around the world began recording a strange signal. It wasn't a typical earthquake, which is usually a surge of energy followed by silence. It was a continuous vibration, a rhythmic hum that lasted for 9 consecutive days. Geologists around the world were perplexed. There were no erupting volcanoes and no tectonic plates were moving unusually. The investigation was only completed in 2025, thanks to high-resolution satellite imagery. The culprit was a megatsunami in a remote fjord in Greenland. A colossal landslide hurled rock and ice into a narrow bay, creating a wave 200 meters high, the equivalent of half the height of the Empire State Building. Because the fjord was narrow and enclosed, the wave did not dissipate. It bounced back and forth for over a week, like water in a bathtub that someone had agitated vigorously. Each time the wave hit the fjord wall, it sent a shock through the Earth's crust that was detected on every continent. The planet was literally echoing a disaster that no one had seen coming. 11. The 21-million-year-old kiss. You probably think of kissing as a modern or cultural romantic gesture, but recently published genetic and behavioral studies have traced the origin of this act back 21 million years. Our common ancestors with chimpanzees and orangutans already used lip contact not only for affection, but as a tool for biological and social assessment. This research discovered that kissing was a way to exchange information about the partner's health and immune system through saliva. But the detail that textbooks don't tell you is the connection with Neanderthals. When the first modern humans left Africa and encountered Neanderthals in Europe, they didn't just fight for territory, they kissed. The exchange of oral microbiota between the two species was so intense that it changed our resistance to certain diseases. Kissing is not just a gesture. It is a fossil record of interaction between species that shaped our current immune system. 10 suicidal weeds and the hormonal war in agriculture. Parasitic weeds are like botanical vampires. They don't photosynthesize, they simply pierce the roots of other plants and suck all their energy. In places like sub-Saharan Africa, they destroy entire crops. But scientists at the University of California, Riverside, have developed a psychological weapon worthy of a spy thriller: induced suicide. These parasitic seeds lie dormant in the soil for years, waiting for a chemical signal, a hormone called strigolactone, which plants release when they are ready to be attacked. It's like a dinner bell for the parasite. Research has revealed that if we introduce controlled artificial doses of these hormones into the soil at the wrong time, the weeds wake up and begin to sprout in search of food, but find nothing. Without a host to cling to, they deplete their energy reserves and starve to death before even reaching the surface. It's a chemical extermination technique that uses the plant's own survival instinct against itself. Science isn't just killing the weed, it's deceiving its biological conscience. 9. The mega show of 111,000 spiders. If you suffer from arachnophobia, this item is your worst-case scenario come true. In a cave on the border between Albania and Greece, explorers and biologists stumbled upon what is officially the largest spider nest ever recorded on the planet. Imagine a network of webs covering more than 100 square meters of rocky walls. In a tangle so dense it looks like a solid fog. Inside lives a colony of approximately 111,000 spiders of 2 different species that, theoretically, shouldn't even be able to coexist in the same space. The most fascinating and disturbing thing is that this empire operates in total darkness. Research into the food chain of this place discovered that the system does not depend on the sun. The spiders feed on mosquitoes which, in turn, survive on microbes that eat sulfur. It's an alien biosphere based on pure subterranean chemistry, where thousands of 8-legged predators coordinate their webs to create a giant collective trap. It's a level of arachnid social organization that textbooks said was impossible, proving that, in the dark, the rules of nature are much more flexible and terrifying. 8. Real Transformers. Project M for forget the rigid robots you see in old science fiction movies. Engineers at Caltech and TII have created the M for multimodal mobility Morphobot, and it's what happens when robotics meets extreme survival engineering. This isn't just a drone or a walking robot. It's a machine that decides how it wants to move based on the terrain. The M4 has wheels that, in seconds, rotate upwards and transform into helicopter rotors to fly over obstacles. If it encounters a narrow passage, it rises onto 2 wheels and uses them as legs to walk. If the terrain is unstable, it can tip over and roll like a ball. The goal of the research is to create robotic first responders that can enter disaster zones where no human and no other robot could navigate. We are witnessing the birth of machines that possess shape instinct, adapting their own physical bodies to overcome the environment. 7. You are 50% human. Literally, who are you? If we look at pure, hard biology, the answer is humbling. Modern science has established the concept of the reference man to study the composition of our cells, and the numbers are a shock to the human ego. Your body carries about 30 trillion human cells, but harbors more than 38 trillion bacterial cells. Mathematically, you are more of them than you. Research has detailed that this balance is so fragile that a simple trip to the bathroom can temporarily change your biological percentage, making you more human for a few minutes before the bacteria multiply again. We live in a symbiosis where our consciousness is installed in a structure that mostly belongs to microscopic organisms. You are not an individual. You are a walking ecosystem that only thinks it's in charge. We continue with our countdown. Now we enter the field of extreme survival biology and the discoveries that show how our bodies and the microorganisms around us possess defense mechanisms worthy of a science fiction film. 6. Pterococcus phoenicus, the microbe that fooled NASA in 2013. NASA scientists found something disturbing in clean rooms, the most sterile places on Earth, where space probes are assembled to avoid contaminating other planets. A new microbe, named Pterococcus phoenicus, survived all chemical sterilization processes, UV radiation, and extreme heat. How it simply pretended to be dead. The investigation revealed that this bacterium enters such a deep, dormant state that no common biological test could detect any sign of life. It remained switched off for years, until it came into contact with a specific protein released by other bacteria. It was the signal that the environment was safe. In seconds, the microbe resurrected and began to multiply. The fact that it was found in clean rooms thousands of miles away, in Florida and Europe, suggests that it may be traveling the world, or even space, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to awaken. It's a chilling reminder that life can be invisible even to humanity's most advanced sensors. 5. The habit of chewing wood and the brain shield. You know that person who can't see a popsicle stick or a pencil without starting to chew on it? Well, science from South Korea has discovered that this annoying habit may be a defense mechanism of your brain. A series of MRI scans showed that the act of chewing a hard fibrous material, like wood, triggers the release of glutathione is the master antioxidant of the human body. It acts as a shield, protecting neurons against oxidative stress and wear and tear that leads to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. The research suggests that the brain responds specifically to the physical exertion and resistance of the wood. It's not just a nervous tick, it's your nervous system trying to cleanse toxins through the mechanical stimulation of the jaw. Who would have thought that the habit your mother told you to stop could actually be one of the most primitive and effective forms of brain maintenance? 4. Bath and peace. The dark origin of bathtubs. Have you ever wondered why old bathtubs have that oval, narrow, and sloping shape? The answer lies in Birmingham, England, in the 19th century. During the Industrial Revolution, coffin makers were masters at molding iron and ceramics around the human form. When the demand for personal hygiene increased, they simply adapted their stock. Documents from 1848 show catalogs where bathing coffins were listed right next to traditional funeral coffins. They used the same molds, the same bronze handles, and the same design engineered to accommodate an immobile body. For decades, people in the Victorian era relaxed and bathed in bathtubs that were, literally, exact replicas of where they would be buried. It's a morbid connection that the history of design prefers to forget. Your most relaxing moment of the day was originally designed to be your final destination. 3. The healing poison, the Pharaoh's curse. The famous curse of Tutankhamun, which stated that anyone who entered the tomb would die, may have had a biological explanation, the fungus Aspergillus flavus, but in a twist worthy of a movie script. What was once a curse is becoming a cure. Engineers at the University of Pennsylvania have managed to isolate rare peptides from this fungus, called RAPs. The investigation discovered that 2 of these compounds possess an aggressive ability to hunt down and destroy human leukemia cells. They can penetrate the membrane of cancerous cells with the precision that traditional chemotherapeutic agents lack. Scientists are now modifying these peptides to make them even more lethal against cancer. The fungus that has haunted archaeologists for decades may be the key to saving millions of lives in the future. The Pharaoh's curse has just been recruited to the front lines of cancer medicine. We've reached the top of our list. These last 2 items aren't just bizarre, they represent the final frontier of human biology and sustainability, with discoveries that have only been confirmed in the last few months. 2. Guata negative, the new blood code for decades. We were taught that human blood boils down to a B, A, B, and O, with the Rh factor positive or negative. But in 2025, medicine had to tear up the manuals. In a patient on the island of Guadeloupe, doctors discovered a blood type that doesn't fit into any of the dozens of classifications known to modern science. She possesses a unique mutation that alters the structure of sugar molecules on the surface of red blood cells. The investigation, dubbed Guata negative, revealed that this blood is chemically invisible to standard testing systems. If this patient needed a common transfusion, her body would reject any blood on the planet. This discovery proves that human evolution is still happening in real time, in small, isolated pockets of the world. We are not a biologically static species. We are a constantly mutating draft. Guata-negative blood is a reminder that, no matter how much we map the human genome, nature will always hold a master code that we have not yet been able to decipher. 1. The future is organic and very strange. Plastic is the biggest environmental villain of the century, and the search for a substitute led a team of Chinese scientists to a place no one expected, the genetic material of fish. They developed a bioplastic made from salmon sperm. Yes, you heard right. By combining DNA extracted from sperm with a compound derived from vegetable oil, they created a hydrogel that, after being freeze-dried, becomes as rigid and moldable as petroleum-derived plastic. Research shows that this material has an incredible advantage. It is infinitely recyclable. Simply immerse it in water with specific enzymes, and it melts, returning to a gel that can be reshaped without losing its strength. Although the idea of using a cup or packaging made from fish reproductive material might send shivers down your spine, the energy cost to produce it is almost zero. In List 15, first place goes to the fact that the salvation of the planet may be hidden in the most unlikely and uncomfortable part of nature. The question is, are you ready to trade oil for fish DNA in the name of ecology? We've explored 15 realities that make textbooks seem like simplistic fairy tales. From brain vitrification to the unknown blood of Guadalupe, science proves every day that the truth is far stranger than any fiction we can invent. If this journey through the dark and bizarre corners of knowledge has blown your mind, you already know what to do. Smash the like button, because that helps the algorithm understand that you don't want Unata content. You want the naked truth. Subscribe to List 15 and turn on notifications, because the world is changing too fast and we're here to investigate every detail. Now, tell me in the comments, which of these facts would you like to unsee or unlearn? And would you use salmon bioplastic if it meant saving the oceans? Leave your opinion below, and if you still have the stomach for more, click on the video that's currently playing on the screen about underwater discoveries that science tried to ignore. I'm your host, and I'll see you in the next list.